Welcome to the Dose of Good podcast, where we celebrate good people and organizations working to make the world a better place. It can be easy to get caught up in the bad things going on in the world and forget about the good happening all around us each and every day. I'm your host, Erin, and I want to share these stories with you and give them the attention they deserve. I hope this podcast educates and inspires you and maybe even motivates you to share a dose of good in your community. Now let's get into today's episode. Today's episode features the Upper Room Family Resource Center, and I speak to Executive Director Brenda Guggisberg. And I have to say that this organization is probably the most recommended nonprofit. When I ask that question at the end of every show, who should I have on next? The Upper Room has probably come up the most amount of times of any organization that has come up. So I was very happy and excited to have Brenda on to talk about the Upper Room and the great work that they are doing. And they are doing so many wonderful things in different demographics, different areas, and just covering a whole host and area of things. So enough from me. Let's get into the episode with Brenda so you can learn more about the Upper Room and all that they have to offer. Today I'm here with Brenda Guggisberg, Executive Director of the Upper Room Family Resource Center. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Can you start just by telling me a little bit of the history of the Upper Room as well as the mission?
Absolutely. So the mission of the Upper Room is strengthening individuals and families by providing them with education, services, and resources needed to live healthy, self-sufficient lives. The history of the organization, we're 39 years old. Claire Hamilton and Anna Willis had basically a dream, and literally a dream, that they would be helping young people, young families who may be finding things challenging. And so they began the organization 39 years ago, helping young parents through education. So they were trying to help them get their high school education as well as parenting. And so that's how it started.
Just a little background, I guess I like to get of how you became involved with them and kind of what your role entails.
Yeah, so in 1997, I saw an ad that was probably a half inch to 1 inch in the Dairy News.
Okay. For
a parent education coordinator. And that began my journey with the Upper Room. I was in a 1-year funded program or project, and the funding went away, so did I. And at that point, my family was moving for my husband's work, and 4 years later, we returned to New England. And I popped back into the Upper Room to say hi with another child in tow, and attended their first auction. And at that auction, the executive director who I had worked with before said, "Come in and see me. We might have something for you to do."
Oh, nice.
And so I came back very part-time at that point in 2002. And throughout the years, just kind of moved into different roles and positions, and finally went back to full-time work. I did not work full-time that entire time until my kids were older. About 10 years ago, had the opportunity to step into a leadership role. I co-shared that leadership role with another person in our organization, and then I was brought in as the executive director the following year. So
very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
And then I did want to get into a little in depth about your programs, because when I was looking, you offer so many things. I was like, where do I even begin with this? So I don't know if you have specific ones that you want to start with, or I can just kind of go down the list, whatever works for you.
I can definitely kind of shape them into the department,
sure,
so to speak. And I will say, and I just need to say this, it started out with a couple of little programs. And as we began to be part of the larger community, recognizing the needs and the things that we were seeing before us, additional programs were developed. So we recognized, we need something to take care of this, and we need something to take care of this. So that's how things birthed themselves and evolved over time. So
Okay.
when I look at the departments, we have, a large department is our adolescent wellness. So we serve youth through a variety of programs, really aimed at building skills and confidence in youth. Being a teen is challenging. That time of life is really a struggle. And, even the kids who seem to have it all together sometimes have things that they're exploring or just really want support with. So that department has a lot of programs within it. Our juvenile diversion program, we have community service, we have a substance misuse course, an anger management class. We have a class helping kids think about shoplifting and the impact on the larger community. And then we have some programs that kind of offshot from that. So we run a group called Mindful Teens, which is really helping young people look at boundaries and relationship setting and all of that. And we have recently created a program that supports teens in managing relational things, school success, that kind of stuff. So, so that's what goes on in that little department. Similar to that kind of framework, we have family wellness, which really wraps itself around the strength of the family and helping families have what they need to be successful. So it might be a kinship family, and those are non-biological parents raising a child or grandparents. There might be teen parents. Parenting is not always, the book doesn't always cover all the issues, and sometimes things don't happen in the same order. And well organized and well educated and well informed parents, still at times child development is a challenge, and something small can really throw off a family or throw off a situation. So we're there to help families look at the strengths they already have, because families typically have a pretty decent network and a lot of their own strengths, and they're doing a lot of the things great. Sometimes it's just saying, look at, you really are doing all you can. But sometimes it's direction to a resource, or it's education around, well, if you tried this, maybe this might be, the outcome may look different for you. And it's really helping people get connected to resources. And so we have a lot of programs, a lot of classes, support groups. We do some fun stuff in the summer with some of our groups, which is really nice. We go on this little field trip adventure series. So a lot of play gets to happen, but also just a lot of connecting and helping families make sure their kids are ready for school, make sure that they understand what is available in our community so that, everyone is strong. Yeah. Same concept around our education department. So that is really to help teens finish school.
Okay.
And so we run a high-set program that is a partnership with Pinkerton Academy and other districts who decide to buy into that or access that. And we also run an out-of-school suspension program. So if students are suspended, our goal is to help them not lose a ton of academic time, because that can be detrimental to their success at school. So we offer space to do academics and perhaps look at what was going on at that moment and how might we not do that again, and if there needs to be additional resources, making sure people have access to those. Under the education lens as well, we offer an internship program, which is graduate level, and we have a PhD level students coming in to do their internships with us. And so while we're providing service for them, we also are attached to people who are very deeply committed to the new trends in the field and what is going on for youth and families, and they bring so much to our organization. So while we're able to offer opportunities, they're able to bring so much to us, and I can't say enough about that program and how it's really helped us as an organization look at how we need to address certain things that are going on for kids. So but great partnerships with our local high school, and just really that's been a long time, relationship, and it's super helpful for young people and their families to have an option if the traditional settings aren't working, or if a smaller setting seems to work. So there's that. And then this is a newly developed department this year. It was out of really looking at, we have a lot of services, and we have 300 or 400 people that go through many of our programs each year. This department really It's our human service department, and it's really meeting the basic needs. So it's around youth homelessness, food insecurity, things like basic access to concrete supports like diapers and backpacks for school, and holiday support around Thanksgiving if your family celebrates Christmas, gifts for Christmas, and making sure people have access to resources and support. So it might be helping them fill out a fuel assistance application. It might be helping them fill out a WIC application, or directing people to those organizations to do that. And so we've seen a large uptick in that area of just need of concrete supports for the average family. Just, sometimes things are just tough to meet at the end of the month. So and so we decided to really put some intention around that this year, and created an opportunity for a staff member internally to lead that. So they're intentional, like they're kind of held together in each of the departments because the functions are similar. But within all of our 24 programs and services, people tend to maybe cross over. So they might be enrolled in one program, but they might also need to use a food pantry. They might be involved in a family program, but they also need to access diapers. So, they just all cross over, and we try to make it as seamless and just easy for people to access, because creating more barriers just really isn't where we're trying to be. We're really trying to reduce the barriers and make things a little easier to reduce the stress within families and in teens' lives.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, first, that's great that you're offering so many programs, but also diverse. You're covering a lot of areas and things. One question that just came to mind is for people who are looking for services, one, can anyone qualify? Like, do they have to apply to get these services? And two, how do people kind of learn about you? Is it word of mouth or advertising, or how does that work?
So how they learn about us, I'll start with that because
Sure.
I think that's a little easier to answer, is that, we're out there, but also it's by referral. So if a family's involved with another organization, that organization may recommend them. It can be word of mouth. We try to do marketing, social media, and put some stuff out there. We are definitely at events like, community events,
Sure.
London Dairy at Home Days, Dairy Fest, Salem events. Like, we try to be in the communities that we serve so that people understand that who we are. There's a face to a name, but also there's materials there they can pick up. We do go out to all of the schools in like 12 towns, and we drop stuff off. So we want all of the schools to be aware, because schools are like a central point of access for a large number of our families. But we also rely on our community partners, because we are not the be-all, end-all by any means, and we have amazing community partners who do other things so well, and so they might be helping seniors do this, but we might be able to help them with this. And so we rely on one another to make those referrals back and forth. And there's some pretty long-standing relationships with, community agencies, other nonprofits, certainly the town welfare offices, and so the police and fire. Those organizations really are supportive of, and we mutually go back and forth supporting one another and helping families.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. And then, so the second question was, how do they find us? And then the I'm sorry, you rolled me back.
No, it was just who qualifies, but it sounds like
yeah.
it's a referral based. So.
Yep. We always like to think anybody from anywhere can show up, and we're not going to turn people away. We might not be the place to serve you because but there are some parameters around some of our programs.
Sure.
We have contracts with the state or with, different other agencies, and so we don't want to step into other people's territory if that's theirs to do. But we really look at what does the family need. So we may be serving a family that would be, they might live in the Londonderry, Manchester line. It might be easier for them to get to a service in Manchester. So we work together with another organization to make that happen, because you don't want to create a hardship for someone to be able to get to things. So for a few of our programs, there are some regional guidelines that were asked, and certainly with our schools, there's some parameters because they want to make sure that we're all following some guidelines around how people come in. But we work really hard to break down any of the possible resistance for people to access us if possible.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's good to know. What volunteer opportunities do you have available?
It varies. So, times of year vary. Sometimes we have specific things for specific events. Oftentimes we'll have like large groups want to do a large group activity. So we'll say, hey, it could be a yard cleanup day. Does somebody want to paint a large room? Does somebody want to organize a shed? Do a food drive? That kind of thing. So it varies based on the time of year and just what's going on in the programs at that time. So we ask people to look at our website, reach out to our volunteer coordinator if they're interested, and let us know, like, what are you interested in? And we'll try to plug them into what seems to fit. You might be interested in working in a food pantry, or you might be interested in reading for one of our children's programs, So people's ideas about how they can help are very different. We have a board of directors that is looking for volunteers. And we certainly have programs that at times could really benefit from the skills and assets and wisdom of people in the community that can be supportive of those programs.
Yeah. Well, that's good for people to know, because I think there's a lot of wanting to get involved, but people don't always know what to do or where to turn or that kind of thing. And then do you have any big events or fundraisers throughout the year that you'd like to let people know about?
I get really excited when you say that.
Okay, good.
So we do. We actually have our 24th auction coming up in November. We have a big auction every year. It is our largest fundraiser, and we have a couple of other little things that go on throughout the year, but this really is one of our, it is a event that helps us be sustainable. It fills a lot of gaps, and it provides a lot for the people that we support.
Oh, great.
So November 1st, Tupelo, it's at 5:30. Tickets are on sale on our website.
Okay.
So if you go to urteachers.org, you can find those tickets. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we'd love
hopefully
to have
lots of people will check that out.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want people to know about Upper Room, or any more detail you want to go into about any of the programs or anything? Or
No, I think, we're just this little quirky farmhouse, and we say it, with this new attached barn that's now 35, so it's not new anymore. And we're a welcoming space that is part of a larger infrastructure of amazing organizations. There are some amazing people who have been around for 30 or 40 years. I look at our mental health systems, and there's aging programs and, programs around youth wellness, and there's just so much. And food insecurity, there's so many organizations that are doing a great thing for our community, and it really is an honor to be part of, like, a larger system. I love that we're a piece of a puzzle, but we aren't the puzzle. Like, I just love being part of the synergy that goes on with our community. There's a lot of good stuff going on.
That's great to hear.
Yep.
And then, if there's nothing else, I do have two final questions I like to ask everybody. One we kind of touched on a little bit ago, and I know because there's so many groups doing such great work, it can be hard to choose. But if you could recommend another nonprofit or even an individual that's just doing great things in their community, who do you recommend we have on as a guest?
Yep, all of them.
I'm
really,
trying.
I think you've had a lot. I think you've had a lot of the people that I would recommend, but I don't know. Haven't heard them on yet. But Dairy Friendship Center.
Okay, I'm not familiar with them.
Okay, so excellent. Then that is why they need to be.
Okay.
They do a lot around recovery in our community, and Carol Bowden is a contact for that. And I think, they are an unseen gem in some ways for people seeking support around recovery. It's Recovery Month, so I always like to good plug for Dairy Friendship Center. But they do some really amazing work very quietly for people who are in need, and I can't speak highly enough.
I'll definitely reach out to them and see about getting them on, hopefully in the next couple of months or so. That would be great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
She's awesome. Yeah.
And then the last one I know is a tough one for people, but what does kindness mean to you? And then can you share an example, or if you need to share more than one, of kindness that you've experienced or witnessed?
I saw this question come up when you sent it, and I was like, oh boy, that's something that it's emotional for me because it's not really a thing. Like it is, but it's like, so I may look down at my paper because there's so many things that erupted for me when you asked that question, and I was so excited. It's not an image per se, but it's a feeling that happens, I think, for me. It's an act of or a gesture that intentionally creates or tries to create human connection. I think it is simple but powerful energy between people, the giver or the receiver. And you're aware of the power when it happens as a human being. And for some, it creates enormous emotion. And it can change a day, a life, a moment. Like it can literally change everything. Mm-hmm. And I just really wish to be part of this on the daily because I see it and I feel it from other people. And I just think it's underrated as a word.
Yes.
It's a really cool thing. I think an example, there's so many. I'm going to use this morning. So I had the privilege of being part of a group of people that got to select people in our community. So there were votes, and then there was a committee of us that pulled together from our chamber. And we got to go out and announce to two of our winners, the Citizen of the Year and the Nonprofit of the Year. And that's kindness, the amount of love that went into it and their genuine shock. Being in that emotion with people when they're like, holy cow, and they recognize all the work that they've done to get to that point, either leading an organization or pushing something that was really hard for them. It was the coolest experience this morning. I just love being in that moment with people. Yeah. And so for me, today was a day I saw some really good kindness. So,
well, that's wonderful to hear.
Yep.
Thank you so much for sharing that and for coming on the show and talking about the Upper Room and all the great work that they're doing. And hopefully people will go to your website and check it out and maybe you'll have a program for them, or they can get involved as a volunteer. Yeah. Yep. Or I know you talked about your fundraising event. Is there a place on your website where people can just donate?
Yes, so there is a donate button. If you go to our website, there is a button that says donate, and you can peek at what those opportunities are. Great. And we tell people nothing is too little because $1 is 2 meals. So you start to look at how we can leverage other resources to make something powerful. And if that's how I do it, it's $1 is 2 meals. So
And it's good for people to think of it that way because a lot of people might think, oh, me giving $1, what good is that going to do? But it does. Yes. So,
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode and learning more about the Upper Room. I hope that you will check them out, maybe volunteer and get involved. And remember, your $1 donation can make a big impact. Thank you again to Brenda. I really appreciate her being on the show. Don't forget to follow Dose of Good Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Share the podcast with those you know so that more people can have a dose of good in their day. Thank you so much for listening or watching if you're on YouTube, and I will be back soon with another episode.